sharing the screen.
Just do it. Do it. Okay. Do it.
A very bright good morning to everyone. I am Anushka Pachori from BPharm third year, and on behalf of IMT College of Pharmacy, I would like to extend a hearty welcome to all of you in today's session on how to build a startup, legal and ethical steps. Today's guest speaker is Mr. Rishabh Ilwadi, co-founder and CEO of Where You Elevate. He is also a founding member of the Eternity Foundation and is responsible for overall expansion of the organization. He is a startup enthusiast, keynote speaker, technology professional, and entrepreneur. He took care of technology excellence in Cloud Dive Labs, which was later acquired by Standard Tech Softwares. I would like to request our head of the department, Dr. Vivek sir, to please welcome our chief guest.
Thank you, Anushka. Good morning, all of you. And I'm profoundly delighted to take an opportunity to introduce our guest speaker for the day. And he's none other only Mr. Rishabh Ilwadi. And he's the co-founder of company Where You Elevate, and also the director of Eternity Foundations. So now I would like to request our guest speaker to address the gathering and cast the light of his knowledge and experience upon us. And his comments are quintessential for our students. So again, I repeat my sentence, students, be you know that आपको आज बहुत ध्यान से सुनना है ऋषभ सर की बातें. उन्होंने जो आपको आज एक गुरु मंत्र देंगे रिगार्डिंग द ईच एंड एवरी एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ जितने भी फाउंडर्स होते हैं ना, वो कुछ ना कुछ एक्स्ट्रा बता के जाते हैं. सो प्लीज स्टूडेंट्स बी केयरफुल एंड लिसन ऑल द थिंग्स carefully. So Rishabh sir, please start your presentations. Thank you so much. Over to Rishabh sir.
Thank you, Vivek sir. Thank you, Anushka, for the warm welcome. Hi everyone, my name is Rishabh Ilwadi. I'm one of the co-founders of Where You Elevate and currently takes care of the overall expansion of the organization. If I say CEO, when it comes to startup, it's Chief Everything Officer, not Chief Executive Officer. It becomes later like that. So I have been mentoring, I have been training, I have been building teams. I have been working in the tech space for over 7 years and with 5 years of entrepreneurship experience in that. Prior to starting Where You Elevate, I was working on a technology consulting, cloud consulting startup called Cloud Dive Labs, which later got acquired by Standard Tech Solutions. There, I built a team of around 25 people, served some more than 15 plus clients globally in US, in UK, in Australia, in Japan. So technically, if I say I have experience of working with almost the entire geography in 5 years of my entrepreneurship experience or 7 years of my career since I graduated from college. So I'll tell about my career, my starting to actually start this topic, how to plan a startup, the legal and ethical way. This topic is something which is very close to my heart. This is something which I am always passionate about, and that is why when the choice came, I picked this topic automatically, because in almost all the organizations, this is one of my most interesting area to work upon and one of the most critical area to be managed. I'll tell you why it is critical from my life journey, how I started. Okay. So in my college days, I did one internship, and in that internship that changed my entire life. I was in third year. I from someone who didn't even know how to use Linux to someone who actually was a cloud administrator, cloud developer in 45 days, who was someone who actually had intermediate level of knowledge on Linux, who was a certified cloud admin, who was one of the first 100 Indian to achieve that on Red Hat OpenStack platform. 45 days, that shift which happened in my life, I realized that if this can happen in 45 days to me, I can give this same shift to all the students working in tier 2, tier 3 college so that they can compete with IITians. In that internship, I competed with IITians and IITians people from tier 1 college. It's not that difficult. It's not that complicated. It's just a matter of confidence. So my life, my journey as an entrepreneur started there and then. In all of my sessions, I generally say entrepreneur बनते नहीं है, entrepreneur होते. Entrepreneur कब होता है आदमी, जब वो एक इनिशिएटिव ठान लेता है कि ये मैंने करना है. अब उसको करने का रास्ता भले ही जॉब से हो, उसको करने का रास्ता भले ही आप किसी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव सर्विसेज में जाके दो. Entrepreneurship is a mindset. So my mindset started from 4th year of my engineering college. After that, I picked, in spite of having a lot of offers, I picked a startup to start my career. 1.5 years, I worked tirelessly in that. I got a lot of recognitions over there from the customer, the recommendations on LinkedIn from the customer side, Super Starter of the Year award. I won competitions, got some good bonus in a span of 1.5 years, and then I left the job. And left the job without any experience, without any connects. I said, just I'll now build my own organization, and that's how it started. I started with a non-profit organization called Untitled Foundation to uplift the students, of engineering colleges so that they start innovating, they start creating. And in 5 years' time, we have impacted more than 10,000 plus students from our programs. We have conducted hackathons which were even appreciated by the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, in Mann Ki Baat, appreciated by Ministry of Culture, Delhi government, and various state and central government organizations were associated with them. Some big corporates were also associated. We did such kind of programs. Our students have already been working in some of the top organizations, top product-based organizations, and have been contributing actively on open source and different communities. That is something which got accomplished in last 5 years. And after 1 year of my entrepreneurship career, when I started Eternity Foundation, I got an offer from my ex-boss, who was the director of engineering from the company in which I worked, to start this cloud consulting business, which I talked about, Cloud Dive Labs. So that was a major achievement for me, coming from someone who is 30 years older to me, who has been my mentor since my starting of my career. And working with him as a partner, forming a company, serving customers was a privilege for me. I worked over there for 4 years, and then I exited from that company and started Very Elevate. And this Very Elevate is something which is going to be big. Here we are working again on the upliftment of engineering students, making them innovation ready, and we are helping corporates innovate faster using our innovation services and our hiring services. We are building a platform, online platform, which is soon going to be launched in a span of 15 days from now. We are already working for fundraise. We are almost close. We have got offers of incubation from some of the renowned incubators already in that. So this is something, once you start, once you plan to start, once you have a mindset to start, all this automatically comes, because human beings are born leaders, are born winners. If a human being starts something, वो लीड तो करेगा ही करेगा, वो विन तो करेगा ही करेगा. It's just the game, what game you define for yourself. If the game is that big, you have to gain the energy, gain the resources, gain the skills, gain the knowledge to win that game. Just that's it. You'll always win the game that you will play. Point is, are you ready to play that game? Are you having enough skill set? Are you having enough resources to win that game? Otherwise, you'll win some other game. The game will shift. This is something which is there. Once you start, once you plan to start, this topic has 3 parts. How to plan a startup. First part. Plan a startup happens when you actually see a problem, when you actually face a problem, and you decide or you choose that I'm going to solve it. When you say I'm going to solve it, you start planning to start. It's like a journey of 1,000 miles. That is the first step of the journey of 1,000 miles. When you say I will solve it, I will solve it in 30 years, that's fine. I will solve it in 10 years, that's fine. But I will solve it is the first step. And the more faster you take steps, the more quickly you can solve it. That is the first step of when you plan a startup. Now, a startup has different elements. What there must be some solution, some process, uh, some prototyping, some platform which you will develop, some solution which you will provide to the problem you are facing or the people are facing, and there must be some business to which will be associated. So all those aspects are to be taken care of. One by one, you need to acquire the skill sets, you need to acquire the knowledge to gain this. But two things, legal step and ethical step, legalities and ethics are something which are critical in nature, as I told, because unless and until you give a legal shape to your company or a startup, you don't give a shape legally to a startup, you can't grow. It is something which is mandatory to do business. It is something which gives a structure to your organization. Otherwise आप क्या है, आप अपने नाम दे करके चला सकते हैं, but a legal structure is necessary in order to scale, in order to do business, in order to build that future which you are committed to solve. Second is ethics. Now ethics is your and the people with whom you are working to. It is something which your belief system, which your learnings from life, it comes from there. But ethics in a startup, ethical step, what is required, I'll cover all those things today. Even first thing, if you have any questions, I'll take all the questions, I'll take everything, but listen carefully. This is very, very critical, which I'm going to tell. Once you are clear with your startup, once you're clear that I'm going to solve this problem, I'm going to solve this problem in this particular way, I'll build a platform, I'll build this process, I'll need this much team, I'll these are the people which these are the skill sets which I'll require, this is how I'm going to make money. If you're clear with all this, then comes the legal part. Now, why are you starting it is the first step which I just mentioned. What problem you are solving, why you are solving it, what skill sets you require, what business you are going to make. This is the first step. Why are you starting it? Why are you starting some business? क्या पर्पस है आपका, कितना पैसा आप बनाओगे उससे, कितना पैसा आप कमा के दिखाओ. Now second part which comes is, who are your partners in this business? Are you starting on your own? आप अपने आप बिल्ड करना चाहते हो, आप अपने आप सेल फोन कंपनी रखना चाहते हो, या is there any kind of partnership which is involved? But if you see these days, partners, for building a bigger company, you need a stronger leadership, and for building a stronger leadership, you need to have partnerships with people, with companies, with different. So who are your partners is very important. Third, what scaling model you are going to do. There are two kinds of scaling model. One is bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is you invest from your pocket, you earn money from the business, and you invest whatever money you are earning, you invest it back into the business. That is bootstrapping. There is no funding involved. Second is, which is very popular these days, startup investments, angel investment, series A funding, then different levels of funding which are involved. Now, funding is very important for any business, for any startup to execute. You need funds. अब फंड लाने के कई तरीके हैं. पैसा तो चाहिए ही चाहिए बिजनेस के लिए, बनाने के लिए, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनाने के लिए, उसको बड़ा करने के लिए. अदरवाइज यू स्टार्ट इन अ सिटी and scale over there. That's fine. If you want to scale to multiple states, multiple cities, pan India, pan entire country, entire geography, you need money. You need resources, which comes ultimately comes to money to actually do that. Now, fundraise becomes an important part. Now, if you are clear with all these three things, then comes the company structure as part of legalities. Company structure क्या रहेगा? Now, if I talk about in companies in India, company structure आपका एक organization बनाने का एक structure है. I don't know whether in your college this is business, some subject related to business is there in your course or not, but in my college days it was there as part of our BTech curriculum. It was there. There I studied about the company law. So in India, if you are doing a business, you can form different kinds of organization. First is sole proprietorship. If you are the sole owner, go ahead, be the sole proprietor. Second is partnership firm. If you want to partner with different people, second comes the partnership firm. Third is limited liability partnership, which is called LLP. There is a difference between partnership and limited liability partnership. Both are partnership firms, but I'll tell you what the difference is very soon. Fourth is private limited company, one of the most popular structure for a startup. Fifth is public limited company. If you see, the companies listed on stock market are generally public limited company who are ready to raise money from the public. So I'll tell you what all these things are. Sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship, generally the shopkeepers generally have the sole proprietorship thing because they themselves are the owner. They themselves invest money. If they want to invest money, they can take loan on their name and invest the money. There's nothing called equity or stocks or something like that in sole proprietorship. Second is partnership firm. Partnership involves a partnership between two or more than two people with a formal partnership deed or an agreement which is written. Now, all people invest money in the business. They can take loans and invest money in the business. This also generally is a less compliant structure and less preferred structure for a startup. Third is limited liability partnership, one of the most attractive structure these days for a startup. If you are bootstrapping, if you are building a small startup, small organization, and you are bootstrapping, you are yourself investing funds, or you don't want large number of investors, limited liability partnership is the most proper structure suitable for you. Government is also recommending it. So what is the difference between a limited liability partnership and a partnership is, partnership involves if there are two partners in a partnership firm, and so a company has a liability of 1 crore, let's say 1 crore rupees it has to pay, then both the partners are equally liable in that to pay 1 crore. If one partner runs, the other person can catch the second partner for paying 1 crore rupees. Did you understand? If a company has to pay 1 crore to rupees of a market, two partners are there. If one partner runs away, I don't have money, I'm going, then the second partner is liable to pay 1 crore, even if the other partner was equal partner or some other percentage was there, but both the partners are equally liable to pay that amount. But with limited liability partnership, there is an advantage. Let's say you are only 30% owner of the company and your other partner was 70%, or a partner or partners. In case the LLP has a liability of 1 crore, then you are only liable for 30% of it. That is why it is called limited liability. The percentage of yours is the limited liability that you carry. Rest 70% you don't care. That is the partnership, because the partnership is a different entity and you are a different entity. This similar advantage is given by the private limited company, but it is a lot cleaner. It is a very, it has a lot of compliances, but it involves the structure of equities or shares. If you're, that is why it is the most preferred one, because shares are a legal building block of a company. It's a legal document. So, and it involves a lot of compliances wherein you have to submit a annual ROC filing, annual audit report done by a CA. It's a very structured thing. And that is why it is preferred when you are building a business which you want to scale for 10, 20 years, which you are building for a longer term, and you want to raise money, you want to raise investments. It is one of the best suitable form. Okay. Because equities, you can have n number of shares, you can get it approved in order to raise money. And equities are the most important component of a private limited company. A private limited company went on to become goes on to become a public limited company unless once you want to raise money from the market. You have enough credibility, then you can bring your IPO and start raising money from the market. Stock market, people start trading your shares, your value goes up and down based upon your revenues. That is a different structure. So if that is why in the starting I said 3 questions. Why are you starting it? Who are your partners and what scaling model you are looking for? Basis this, decide your company structure. I'll tell you from my company structure. So Eternity Foundation was a non-profit. We wanted it to be a lot clear, a lot much visible, a lot compliant. So we formed a Section 8 company. It's a special type of private limited company for non-profits. But it's a company, private limited company structure is formed. Cloud Dive Labs, we wanted to build a global business. We wanted to have more and more partners in the future. So we formed a private limited entity. We could have formed an LLP also. That would have been a preferred structure for that. We formed a private limited structure for that. For where you elevate, initially we formed an LLP because we wanted to build a business for 2 years and then we wanted to see how things go in India. So that is why we preferred LLP initially. Once the business is scaled, now we just converted our LLP into a private limited company. Because we are now ready to raise funds, we are now ready to scale this business, and that is why we converted into a private limited company, because a lot of investors prefer private limited company. Though LLP also now is a very much compliant structure, government has approved foreign direct investments in that. So some investors have started investing in LLP, but private limited company still is the most preferred option in that case. So in the interest of the since our topic is startup, so I'll focus a lot on the private limited structure because this is the most preferred structure in India as of now for startups. So here comes the second important component of a private limited company is the directors. We have seen equities, we have seen company structure, directors. Now directors are the people who actually form the company, who actually drive the company. Directors can come, can go from the company, that doesn't matter. But the directors are the one who actually direct, who actually run the company. For private limited company, at least 2 directors are required for that. Okay, to start a private limited company. So directors are the important components of a private limited company. I am a director. We four are directors in our company as of now. We four co-founders are directors. Then we can keep on adding people. Directors have special powers. Any rule, any resolution, any change to be brought in the company, any financial spending, any decision to be made, it is made by the board of directors. The company is run by board of directors. If you see government is formed by a cabinet of ministers headed by the prime minister or chief minister in case of state government. Similarly, private limited companies formed by a board of directors headed by the chairman of the board. So the entire board of directors appoint a chairman to coordinate all the board meetings. As per the company's law, you have to have one annual general meeting, AGM, in which all the directors, all the shareholders of the company are presented all the report, the annual report of the company, how company is performing, and that report is submitted to the government. This is a legal compliance. That is called ROC filing. It is audited by the CA. Okay. And then you can call out board meetings by notifying that on such and such date, at such and such place, we'll have a board meeting among the directors to take these many decisions. Even if you have to open a new bank account or close a bank account or applying for a GST or applying for any registration or purchasing any vehicle, any asset, any payment, any financial thing, any hiring, be it anything, all decisions are taken in the board. It's the board which runs the company. Now, third thing is shareholders. Now, directors can be shareholders, may not be shareholders, maybe, may not be, but it is encouraged that directors have shares. In a private limited company, you can issue shares up to 200 people. Okay. Shareholders need not to be directors. Like a lot of employees of Paytm, you have heard, or any startup get ESOPs or shares, company stakes based upon their performance. A lot of startups do give shares to people who are with them. And when you are actually doing a fundraise, you actually offer shares to the investor. That has different modes. That is a different topic. I'm not going to discuss that much today. But shareholders can be more than the number of directors. Anyone inside the company who's working can be a shareholder. And for giving shares to someone, again, the board of directors approves that we are going to give shares to these many people. These days, one topic was very common. That was the Bharat Pay Ashneet Grover episode. You must have heard about it, everyone. So Ashneet Grover was part of the directorial board. All the directors, they using their votes, actually threw him out of the company. If I say that you are no more part of the company operations, no more a director, but they can't take his shareholding. If he has 10,000 shares, for example, of the company, he will keep owning them unless and until he wants to sell it. So his ownership remains in the company, but he can't work in the company. Similar was the case with Cyrus Mistry some years back. Cyrus Mistry has 18% equities of Tata Sons, single largest owner of the equities of Tata Sons. He is no more part of Tata working or executive or board of directors or anywhere, but he still keeps owning that share unless and until he decides to sell. This is the difference between shareholding and directors, and that is why shares and equities become a critical part. So when we are doing fundraise, we are also looking at how to save our equities, how to dilute less, because this is the start of a much bigger complexity, a problem which may become never ending. So that is where your ethics, how you drive the company comes into picture. How you drive the board comes into the picture. That is why you need to have a bigger mindset, broader mindset. You need to actually understand what will be the implications. And I am not the expert of everything. I have a CA who is very trustworthy with me, who actually guides me for all this. So once you are starting, have a trustworthy CA and have a CA who is knowledgeable about the startups, who actually, even if he doesn't know something, he will study and come back to you and guide you accordingly. So that is why companies have legal advisors and CA. They play a big role in that, because you are not a master of companies law. I'm not a master of companies law. All the information which I'm telling you is out of my experience. I have been made to exit from my previous startup, the cloud consulting solution, because the partnership didn't work. But there, the structure was not that where they actually can throw us out of the board, because we were equal owners. Nobody was having supremacy. But after a mutual consent, I surrendered my shares, I surrendered my directorialship, I got money for surrendering my shares, for selling my shares and surrendering, getting out of the company. That is because of my CA was advising that do this, charge this much, ask this much. This is what a role of a CA is. So that is in my start of my career. I spent a lot of time with CA to understand how companies work. A lot of founders generally don't do this. That is why I said this is one of my favorite topics, because this is very much complicated. Not everyone can understand. I know this is complex, but if you keep on reading about things, if you take interest, this is actually quite interesting. Playing with equities is a skill which you as an entrepreneur should have in order to scale the company big. It's an inventory, it's a building block of the company. The running a board is a skill, because you're dealing with people who are already leaders, who are already accomplished, and to actually pass on a decision in that and have your say in that is a skill that comes with communication, that comes with experience. Next is the financial projections. Now I'll talk about the fundraise part also in this. Whenever you do a fundraise, you must have heard a term called valuation quite a lot. Valuation is something which how you value the company, or how some valuator, registered valuator, you get a valuation done from a CA who is a certified registered valuator, values the company. When you are raising funds, you are raising fund to build a future. Let's say after 2 years, if I invest 2 CR now, after 2 years, my company will be at this much valuation and I'll be generating this much revenue and I'll be profitable or not profitable. That is a different case. But my value will be this much. You must have seen Paytm is still not profitable and still it is valued at some place. Prior to the IPO, its valuation was huge. They released IPO at a certain level, and now the share prices are decreasing day by day. So valuation is a relative thing. You feel that you are valued at 25 CR or 100 CR. You must have heard a lot in Shark Tank about this, that I have 100 CR value, I have 200 CR value. That is the value of assets. That is the value of leadership. and that is always relative. When you are raising funds, you are raising funds for a 2-year plan, and where you will stand. Let's say after 2 years, right now my company's valuation, if you talk about my present value, my present company's value, it's somewhere between 3 to 4 CR as of today. But when I'm raising funds for 3 years, and as per my 3-year plan, my revenue projections will be somewhere between 10 CR to 13 CR a year. If I invest 5 CR as of now, and as per the assets which I will build, the platform, the team, the kind, the whatever expenses, whatever assets that I'll have, I see that my value comes out to be some 25 CR. So this is what I'll do is I'll go to a registered valuator. I'll do a financial projection with him based upon the pricing, based upon the sale. It's like planning for a future 3-year financial projection. It is very, very complex. It takes time. You can't do it alone, so you need to have advisors around it. Once the projections are done, your valuation comes out. Let's say 25 CR is the valuation which comes. Then if you're raising 5 CR, you will dilute 20% of the fund. This is, and once you dilute, there is a term called term sheet with the investor which you will sign. 20% of the company will dilute, but once you get the entire money comes in chunks based upon business milestone. So 50 lakhs upfront, then 50 lakhs in the second chunk after 6 months, 50 lakhs in the third chunk after 1 year, then 1.5 years. So based upon the money which comes, you'll dilute the equity. You'll sign that after the next fundraise, you may choose to exit based upon the next valuation, or you may continue. There will be different terms. That is where the ethics come into picture once you sign the term sheet, because you need to protect your equities, you need to protect your interest for the future. What happens in the market generally, you, in order to make the company big, you end up raising investments. The investor has a bigger chunk in your company and they start controlling your company at times. So you need to be flexible with that. All this which I told was part of legalities. Then there are different licenses which are there. In India, to do business, you need to have a GST certificate, GST registration. If you are operating as a private limited company, it is mandatory. Okay. So, and for Pan India, it is mandatory. GST certificate, monthly GST returns are there. Then there are MSME benefits. Then there are Startup India benefits. Get yourself registered as a startup once you start, and you have a legal entity, because you get income tax benefits, you get fundraise benefits, you get a tax holiday for 7 years in that, or 10 years actually. So that is something which, and there are government grants and benefits which you generally get through an incubator. So if your idea is that as having that much potential, incubators generally help you in getting that. So Startup India is something which is another important registration. MSME is something which helps you in getting the benefits of MSME as long as you are you lie in that category. Because a lot of times payments, customers take service from you, but they don't pay. MSME portal, if you lodge a complaint, it helps you in recovering the money from them. Then there, MSME has a marketplace also where you can sell services. But for different startups, it may not suit, it may suit. That is okay. But MSME is an important license which you can take. Then there are various labor registration, ESIC, and different other licenses, PF, different other licenses. Everything has a detail. I can't cover everything today, but I've tried to cover most of the major aspects. Startup India, company structure, legal aspects to be taken care. I've told everything as of now. Now I'll talk about the ethics part. I'll take questions at the last. I'll talk about the ethics part. So while driving all this legal structure or the day-to-day operations of the company, it's very important that the integrity of the board is intact. Whosoever is part of the board, the directors, if you are the chairman, that's fine. If you are not, then also you must be responsible for the board at every moment of time. Because if the company stays, you are growing. If the company stops growing, you stop growing. You can find another way, but again, you have to start from scratch or go for a job or something like that. But if the company stays, you are staying. You are growing. If the company goes, you are growing. So, ethics says keep your spirit high to grow the company. Always be sensible about. Second is professionalism in handling finances and legalities, which I say. In my experience, in my companies, whatever decision we take in terms of finances and legalities, we take every day. We have a leadership meeting. We take in that the leadership is the directorial body as of now. So everything we take, it is very professional. It's not like I am the signatory, I can do any number of transactions. It's not like that, because company is a separate entity, separate virtual entity. It's like a human being, virtual human being. It has its own PAN card, whereas individual directors is are separate. And individual directors as a group of board drive a company. So the best, how ethical all the board performs, the company performs. The company is in will always remain in good shape. How much the board is committed, the company will grow. It all it is related, if I say. So everyone in the board has a responsibility to perform, to win trust, to work with full energy towards business growth. If anyone is not doing, then comes different clauses which generally people put while forming a company, which involve disciplinary clause, which involve commitment clause, like whole time director or part time director. Let's say I can give only 2 hours per day. So I can't be a whole time director in the company. And my remuneration, the money which I draw, the salary which I get, which should be according to that. If I'm a whole-time director, I say I'm a whole-time director, I need to give 100% of my time to that company. That company comes first. This is also something which is there. So accordingly, this whole-time director, part-time directors, or not to be a director, just be a shareholder, is decided. A lot of investors don't want to be a director, they just want to be shareholder because they don't want to be part of the day-to-day operations of the company. But at the level of initial investments, because all the entrepreneurs are new, they don't know. So generally the investor becomes director also, so that they actually want the board to be in integrity, because if the board is in integrity, everything will work accordingly. So one so here, as part of ethics, formulate the code of conduct, how the board conduct. It should be disciplinary, it should have professionalism, it should have clauses for retire, it should have clauses for spending. Like if you go out, don't spend, don't take hotels, don't go to clubs on company expenses if the company doesn't have that much funds. If the funds are there and company can afford, you can do that. But be sensible in doing that, because a lot of expenses are beared by company. So hotels and then trips and everywhere, be sensitive about the company's finances. So all those things come as part of code of conduct. And if someone is not performing, then disciplinary action should also be clear. A clear exit process should be there. Like if someone wants to exit, or if you are actually making someone exit, So what will be the financial implication, legal implication will be there. Define that clearly, and everyone should agree in the board. Because if that is there, after exiting, whatever the person does on social media, whatever the person does anywhere, it won't impact the company. Company should not be impacted. So this is something which is ethical, which is a ethical step. Formulate code of conduct, formulate exit process, formulate clear definition of full-time directors, part-time directors, shareholders, and work with full energy to win trust of everyone. Everyone includes team members. The board, everyone in board is performing, the company will perform. That is what I wanted to say in on the ethics part. I've been ensuring it. I am leading the board currently for Vario Live, and in my previous organizations also I have been ensuring it. And this is from my experience. I can say that 90% of the problems are solved. Be sensible about your partner's issues. Be sensible about, because ultimately everyone is human being. Respect everyone. Don't be authoritative, that much authoritative. Every time that you superimpose your decision, listen to everyone and then take calls. Put decisiveness. At times you need to be authoritative, but that's fine. That is for the business. And as long as you are committed for the company, you are clear, everyone will understand. So this is from my experience on legal part and the ethical part. Both of these things, if you ask me, I didn't know anything when I started. I just left job. This is what I acquired by spending time with my CA, by talking to a lot of people who already are running the company, by having some good advisors every time to run the company. And all my advisors, all our advisors generally say, with great powers comes great responsibility. All this is the great responsibility which comes, which I just talked about. So that's it from my side. If anyone has any questions, I'm ready to take that and answer that. You can contact me on LinkedIn also. If you actually wanted to understand or actually want to take an advice around these things, I'll be happy to advise on that. I have advised a lot of people on this part, legal and financial part, ethical part, to formulate the company from my experience, from the little experience that I carry. This is what I wanted to say.
Thank you so much for sharing so much knowledge with us, sir. And especially, I'm thanking you for sharing your social media handle so that students can reach out to you. I'm sure many students are curious about many things and they'll definitely reach out to you, sir. But I have received a few questions from some curious students and I'll be addressing them on their behalf. So,
Sure.
you mentioned angel investors.
Yes.
So the students are curious about the concept of angel investors and how they get investments from them. So could you
I
please
knew
elaborate on that?
I knew this would have come. So once you actually want to raise money, uh, the investors are there. It is their business to invest in the startup. Okay. So what they see is, are you clear that if they invest X amount, you'll make them give them 3x or 4x of return in a particular span of time. आप उतना कंपनी को स्केल कर सकते हो या नहीं, and it all comes from your credibility, it all comes from your experience, it all comes from your commitment, it all comes all from the idea whether it has potential or not. A lot of times idea do have potential. It is more or less how the management team, the leadership team thinks. Can they think that much? Do they have having that much passion, that much clarity around it? Startups are not like the stock market investing. For startup investors, angel investors, VCs see different things. When you invest on a stock in stock market on a stock, you can see the background, how the company is performing, what is the management team, any cases, are there any cases, is there any chance or risk of my money getting lost or something like that. All those information are there which you can read before investing. But with startups, the problem is for angel investors, they actually invest in the management team. If the management team is credible and trustworthy, they invest. And they have that much potential, they have much credibility, and that that is where your skill sets come to actually clearly define your business, clearly define your financial projection, and have a clear roadmap. It's an activity of 3 to 4 months, and you have already making business. Like if I talk about where you elevate, we first focused on building business. We are onboarded our clients. Then we start looking at the problems, looking at our gaps. We started building our platform. We built our platform. Then we, from last 2 months, what we are doing is we are refining our idea, pivoting our idea, our business model, our revenue streams, everything we are defining based upon the mentoring we are getting from our advisors. And we are now at a state where we pitch to incubators where last Sunday I actually pitched to one of our potential investors. So the deal is about to close, if I say, because now we have enough clarity in terms of our financial projections, in terms of our services, how we'll execute, what will be our go-to-market strategy, what will be our sales strategy, what will be how we'll onboard users, what will be our exit strategy if it doesn't work. So everything we have defined, we have given a thought around it, and then we present it based upon accordingly. If they find it interesting, they'll invest because it's their business to invest. Like if you want to purchase a car, you'll purchase a car. They want to purchase equities, they want to invest, pay money in a startup. It's their job. They want to buy a property, they'll buy. They want to invest in a startup, they'll invest. But what is your offer? Is this that much lucrative for them? Is what matters. So be clear about it. Now here comes, yeah, while finding investors, find an investor who actually understands your idea. Like if you are if you are building a tech product and you start taking investment from an FMCG investor, it's of no use. They can't guide you. They'll guide you on a lot of subjects, but that will be very much difficult for them.
Thank you so much for answering the question, sir. I have a few more questions if you're all right with them.
Yes, I am fine.
So some students want to know from your experience that you have started such a successful startup. So they wanted to know what are the barriers that one has to face while they are working on building a startup. What are the obstacles that they have to cross? They are seeking your experience in this, sir.
Obstacles, if I talk about the obstacles are here only. 90% obstacles are mental obstacles. Will I be able to do it? Am I that much confident? Does my idea has potential? Because we human beings, हमें validate कराने की बड़ी जरूरत पड़ती है, अप्रूवल मेरे को भी पड़ती थी. 3-4 महीने से मैं भी अप्रूवल के लिए ढूंढ रहा था. Just approve my idea, I am going on right track or not. And when we are seeking approvals, our growth stops. We don't grow that much. We don't focus that much. So 90% obstacles are here. So find a right advisor for yourself, find a right mentor, and get yourself sorted. Okay, you will be able to do it. There's nothing which is not able, which is not possible. It is just the situations of life, the uh, which actually create obstacles. Most of the obstacles are mental obstacles. जनरली वी फील कि सामने से हमें वैसा रिस्पॉन्स नहीं मिल रहा, मेरा पार्टनर वैसा काम नहीं कर रहा, मेरा टीम मेंबर वैसा काम नहीं कर रहा. You are having an obstacle in your mind that you are not talking clearly with them. भाई तेरे को बिजनेस करना है या नहीं करना, या परफॉर्मेंस तेरे को लानी है या नहीं है. You motivate them, you have straight conversations with them. All obstacles are clear. One by one, all obstacles will get clear. This is from my experience.
So
Hope I
that
have
was really motivating. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, we also want to know that what are the startups that can be financed through crowdfunding? Because that is something I think we have heard that
Okay.
crowdfunding helps in investments.
Crowdfunding. Why will someone crowdsource you? See, every business you can take crowdsourcing, but generally people invest. If you talk about business, people will, and you're doing business, people will eh, pay you money and they want something. They want donative money. There are very less people who do that. Okay, because money is something very important for everyone. But if you are working for a cause, if you are working for some cause or you are a non-profit in nature, then on social causes people do crowdsource you. Like we did crowdsourcing in Integrity Foundation to run our expenses initially, and for a long time we kept on doing it. Crowdsourcing generally, from my experience, will work only for startups on social causes, and that too if you are not making money out of it as a business, if the company is not making money. Otherwise, it won't work. You can attempt, it won't work.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering all our questions. And I'm sure many students are going to reach out to you on LinkedIn because I'm pretty sure many students have their queries. And thank you so much, sir, for allowing us this opportunity that we can talk to you for advice.
Thank you.
Now I would like to request Lalit, sir, to please convey a vote of thanks to our speaker.
Thank you, Anushka. Anushka, is I'm audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Thank you, Anushka, for inviting me here for word of thanks. It gives me an immense pleasure to say on this session today regarding word of thanks, which has been delivered by our chief guest and guest speaker, Mr. Rishabh sir. Well, sir, you have very well explained about the startup, legal rights, ethics. It was very well delivered. And I'm damn sure it will benefit our students, our faculty members, those who all are present here, those who have joined today with us in this session, in this live session. And people, whenever they will reach to our YouTube channel and look and have a look on this video, they will definitely learn about something about startup, the legal rights and all those things that you have delivered today. Right, sir? Rishabh, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I would
Thank
like
you,
to, I would like to thanks our all the faculty members, those who have joined today, along with the students and outside participants, those have gained knowledge from this platform. And the main vote of thanks, the main concerned person for this sessions today is our chief guest, our guest speaker, Mr. Rishabh sir. And I hope and I will ask you again, sir, to come again to our institute and deliver more and more about the startup, because this is platform is nowadays is spreading very well. Everyone wants to do something new, a business, and wants to know how that business can be developed, well settled. Right, sir?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I
Not
would
the
love to.
last, least, I would like to thank one and all those who are present today here for joining the session. Hope and inspired for being a good entrepreneur in coming of future. Thank you, Yusuf, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd love to come if you have any more sessions. I'd love to share my experience, my knowledge.
Sure, we
Thank
will
you.
definitely invite you.
Thank you. Thank you for
Or this
inviting.
time we will decide to invite you physically.
That will be great. I'll be there.
Yeah, sure, sir. Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Anushka,
you. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, sir.
please wind up.
So that brings us